Alright, good morning. Um, we are here for Crazy House World Championship match. Very exciting match. This is Kleerkast versus Chickencrossroad. We'll just start from first move. We've got an e4, early knight d5. This is a match which will determine one of the candidates this year. It's a very exciting match because both players are ex-candidates from a prior year. We've got Kleerkast and Chickencrossroad that have both qualified for candidates before in prior years. I think this is going to be a really close match. I suppose, I should start with a prediction. Very hard to pick. I think perhaps one of two things is going to happen. I think we could either see maybe Kleerkast run away with it in a short series, maybe Kleerkast winning 6-3, or if it stretches out, it might be Chicken that wins the series, something like 8-6. Not really a definitive prediction, but I'm feeling maybe Kleerkast will get the 6 games either way, but it could be a 6-3 win for Kleerkast or an 8-6 win for Chicken. Strange prediction, I know, but I think both players are dangerous in their own right. I don't know, but maybe depending on what times I've been on, I haven't seen as much from Chickencrossroad. I've seen Kleerkast play more often. So that's kind of my weird prediction. But let's look at this. Pawn at h3 played early. I don't know if that's appropriate in this particular opening, but let's see what Kleerkast plans to do. I think White can get away with just staying a pawn up, whether he takes h4 or just puts a pawn on g2. And I wouldn't be comfortable sacrificing a pawn like this against Chicken because he's very capable at taking a pawn, playing a dangerous position, and I don't even consider this that dangerous, but he's very good at just holding on to material. So I feel Chicken's got an edge this game already. He's a pawn up. Katask, Oppa, welcome both. I'm deliberately keeping my voice down because it's 5 a.m. and I don't want to wake up any of the family. Jasugi's in the chat, Fumi Talks in the chat. We've got GSVC watching. Jasugi says this just looks good for White, hey? Yep. And GSVC saying black is black is down a pawn. There are certain lines where pawn at h3 is more playable. I don't know if Kleerkast got an opening position mixed up with something else, or if he's got something planned. Okay, pretty extreme. There's an early piece sacrifice. Perhaps it's a practical play just to, avoid White having the initiative, but even after takes, pawn at b2. Well, that's something, because if takes, knight at d2. I think White should just take this knight at d2, and because the bishop holds the pawn, basically say, you lose the queen, but okay, this could be even stronger actually. There could be mate here. Knight at g8. Yeah, I missed queen takes f7. This is a much stronger move. I was just happy to settle for safety and say black has a queen and there's not much initiative, but knight at g8, king d6. knight at b5, king d5, c4 is pretty clean. Knight at b5 critical because it defends the pawn on d4. I expect Chicken to see this, but maybe he's looking at the more fancy continuation, which is knight at e4, king here, c4, king takes, bishop takes, and the bishop covers the knight with an x-ray mate. This knight covers the bishop. You know, you'd have to block with pawn at c3 or knight at c3, and then bishop takes c3 as mate. Either way works. Cheskabitza 2020 subscriber tier 1. Thanks for the support. Oppa says Kleerkast played more lately, but I still think Chicken is the favourite. Yeah, so there's not much head-to-head here on Lee Chess. I mean, Chicken's up 13-5 before the match began, but on paper you'd say ChickenCrossroad is probably the favourite, but I don't know. I just got a feeling that Kleerkast is going to be dangerous today. And I'm not sure if he's been streaming his matches before, but he's deliberately not streaming today. So I think he knows it's serious. Katast is quite nice. I thought this opening was already refuted. Yeah. I mean, maybe... Yeah, Katast would know the refutation like the back of his hand because he's played it against Jasugi so often. But I think it could be quite balanced unless Kleerkast has been reviewing these lines and is rock solid. Icy Stun says, "Are you just commentating this year?" I'm not playing, but I'm focusing more effort on actually organising the event. It's just very difficult for me to play at all sorts of odd hours, early in the morning or late at night, because I've got a newborn baby. Well, not newborn anymore. Actually, Spencer's turning 1 year old tomorrow, if you can believe that. Spencer's my new bub. So what if pawn at e4 here and d5? Maybe black's just saying, well, I'll just take 2 pieces for the pawn and stay active. Kleerkast's castle. Now if you can play pawn at h3, but maybe just rook e1. Knight e5 is on the cards. So Chicken choosing a bit more solid, putting more on the e file, getting ready to castle, but also g5 could be under attack with pawn at g4 or pawn at e4. So I feel like if pawn at e4, pawn at e4, pawn at g4, knight e5, bishop takes, lose a knight, should be good for white. Yeah, I was thinking pawn at e4. Try to control the center a little, but Kleerkast, early aggression. Okay, so he's picked a hole on g7, and this bishop is a critical piece quite often. For black, it's a great defensive piece. It's a great piece to open the position. So this is quite a sound and clear idea from Kleerkast as white. So in terms of material, white's still up a pawn, but it's pretty much 1 pawn short of mate here nearly. I mean, if you had an extra pawn, it'd be pawn here. King takes, knight takes, king goes up, another pawn here, queen g4. A donation, an entire sleeve donated $5. Thank you again for the support. So bishop at h5, the idea there is if pawn at f7, white can take it, and that would be mating. So chicken making a run for it. This is a nice game from Kleerkast so far. It's got certainly got an advantage in king safety. Well, d5 really opening up things. So as white here, you have to keep pushing the initiative because black does indeed have a lot of pieces in hand. And you know, chicken won't be afraid to defend here. Chicken is a very good defender. Quite often in bug house, unafraid to take risky positions and defend with them. So black's kind of holding here. I mean, it's probably pawn at f7. You've just got to keep moving forward before black can establish good spots for these pawns, the knight and the bishop. But you can tell by the time as well, chicken's down in the last 20 seconds. I'd expect Kleerkast to take this. Okay, he's going for something. Well, I thought, yeah, maybe if the capture happened, queen d8 was coming straight back. So this makes sense to capture here first. Subtle point. So that should be captured with check here. You'd want to come back here. So I don't know if you can take this because of knight takes d8. Maybe, yeah, you want to try to find mate if you can. I don't see anything yet. Just pawn at d7, king here. So Qatar's saying rook d8 is mate, right? Take d8 twice, knight d6. Okay, this is pretty safe too. You could take here to try to secure this. Well, I think he's just basically saying you're not going to take the rook on the back rank. So Kleerkast under 30 seconds as well, getting lower on time. Okay, staying live with the checks. And maybe knight c3. So can you take this? You probably can. Allows pawn at f2, but yeah, you'd probably go pawn at f2, king here, rook at c2. Right, I feel like pawn at h5 is him being low on time. Alright, king h1, very safe. So, critical point here. Kleerkast has made a very good practical decision. He's just too safe to attack, and then he's going to keep getting new material here. Ooh, he's given the knight. Take here. Rook takes. Knight at b5. No, now f2 is available. This is. Oh, he's covered it though. New queen. Rook takes d6, very strong. No, maybe not. You got to watch out the back rank. The pawn at e2 is the one you want. Still a live game here, guys. Knight takes b6 would have been strong because it's threatening to win the queen with check. Oh, long game. Kleerkast still safe. Here we go. Has to defend with the rook. still a live game. This is not yet determined. And then take the rook with check if he goes that way. He's gone to c8. Exciting game. Still live. The Kleerkast consistent, just saying I'm just going to keep my king safe. He's not. There we go. He's found a mate. Wow. How many moves was that? 55 moves. Exciting game. Kleerkast getting it in the bag. And that's an example where maybe Kleerkast somewhere in there had a more precise win, but with a slight time advantage, he's just said, well, I'm going to be practical here, and I'm going to keep my king safe. And he was so consistent with that. Like you could tell he was in control. And had one or two cases where he said, I've got to make a move. I'm low on time. I've got to play a check. But really good practical play there. So one game each. Okay, pawn at h3 is more justified this game than it was last game. After e6, it doesn't make as much sense. So knight e5. GSP says Katask is this mate, suggesting that Katask already knows the theory right up until white can play checkmate. So yeah, a queen to d5 looks dangerous. Maybe bishop c4 takes g2, takes here, king here. Sometimes as white you need to trade this one off and then play knight at e3. But I think as black you'll be happy with what you got here. So if you're just joining now, my prediction at start of the stream was one of two results: either a faster series with Kleerkast winning something like 6-3, or if the series gets drawn out, Chicken potentially winning something like 8-6. So at the moment, yeah, I think Kleerkast probably had a shaky game one, but he's stabilized the ship, so to speak. I think it's huge for your confidence that game two to win a long game and to shake out some of the nerves. So queen a5, nice, just keeping some tempo. I mean, he's basically, if pawn at b4 is played, white's kind of using up some material from the bench in a square that's not ideal. So pawn at b4, could put the queen on, if you put the queen on b5, I don't know if a4 would be any good. You take, rook at b8. Bishop at e6. You could also just back the queen to a6. I think Kleerkast is just having a good think here. Not because he's in trouble or anything. He's just trying to optimize where he puts the queen next. But queen b5, you're not afraid of a4. Here, knight at c5. You can't play queen b5 anymore because of a4. Because now white's defending it. So he must have been having a look to see if pawn at e2 was on. So now it's interesting. So it can't be taken. That's a certain no because of knight at f4. I mean, you could run the king up to f3, but you're playing into significant risk there. So now He's going to concede the queen, but you can't recapture with bishop. Why? So I guess he's planning on playing bishop takes e5, but then you can't. No, that makes no sense. He's got to take with the rook. But he's got knight at f3. I missed knight at f3, so that's his play. You got to be careful here. He's seen pretty deep, I think. Wow, Kleerkast is really pushing, going for it. That's very sharp what he chose to do. But you can tell he was thinking of this stuff before he played Queen A6. So now if takes, you can't recapture because of Queen at C8. The knight at F3. He might have missed that this could be taken. Pawn at E2, you have to come back with a queen, but knight takes G1. But I think as black, you probably weren't playing for this line. I think Kleerkast has missed something somewhere. Not that this is completely lost, but you can just feel when something has gone to plan or something has gone a little bit off. It could be Queen C4 here. It's actually strong, threatening Queen takes C6. Because Queen G4, black can just play E6, but Queen C4 could be harder to meet. Okay, pawn at D7. So what's he doing here? Maybe Queen at G4, just grab the pawn? No, he's threatening mate. So if you take the queen, bishop takes C6 is mating. So let's say you took here, or is it mating? Queen at... What's the idea here? He's probably getting D5 undefended. Maybe pawn at E2 is the play. If it's not pawn at E2, black's just worse, so he's going for it. Now he's going to see if he can defend, but I think chicken's got enough material. Probably, even though you've got to use it wisely, rook at C5 might be mating here. He chooses to preserve the rook and the queen, that's sensible. Yeah, that's enough to win. Queen at B5, rook at B7, Queen B5. Yeah, I like that Kleerkast pushed the boundaries though. He made things very sharp in a very effective way. Maybe he had better. He could have played Queen B5 instead of Queen A6, gone a bit slower. But even after his Queen sack, I still felt that Black had something there, I feel. Okay, so we're going to a bishop e7 line here. Generally, as black, you're happy if you get this, I think. So we'll see what theory both of these players have brought to the board. Again, Qatar says Queen e8, Knight b5, or Knight d5, plus minus. So that's a theoretical assessment from Qatar. An entire sleeve with a question: what's the average length of a high-level ZH game? That's a good question. I mean, I'd say about 30 moves. Like 55 moves is definitely a long game. Even at the high level these days, games can be finished in 30 moves. If you're finishing a game somewhere in the teens, like move 14 or 15, I think you could say that's pretty short. Okay, so this is a balanced position. I think. Okay, bishop g4. Now, importantly, in some positions when this queen's on d8, white can sack this queen and come in on f7 and then play a fork on h5, but it's not playable at the moment because the queen's here. So it's a choice if you want to play something like f3 or queen g2. Now, what bishop g4 does is, if you play f3, bishop h5, it basically says this queen is never coming out to the king side. And while it didn't look that likely anyway with all these pieces here, there are situations where something comes out to queen h5 sooner than you expect. There could be some kind of knight d5 trade and it becomes viable and it creates problems for black. So this is a pretty massive insurance policy if black can get the bishop on h5 and stop any sort of queen h5 ideas. So if you're not considering f3 or queen d2, you're probably spending your time thinking about something more extreme, like knight takes h7. So what's behind this? So if king takes, I guess, is planning on queen takes, knight takes, pawn here, bishop at f5. But black can take this. Knight takes, rook takes. This is a very John Lee kind of move. You don't have to sacrifice your queen, but you're doing it. So Kleerkast saying knight h7 just never works in these lines. Yeah, I think here, what's interesting is, Kleerkast's view of the world is very precise, and he's probably studied this more than anyone else. But from a practical perspective, some of these sacks can pay off. Now, bishop h5, a very nice move, is basically saying, well, your knight is not a threat here. I actually was thinking knight takes f6 rather than knight takes f8 before. I'm not saying that was fantastic for white, but the trouble here is this knight is trapped. It can't retreat. So Kleerkast is kind of, looking like he may have overextended a little bit here. I think queen takes f8 is sensible. You're going to drop this f7 pawn, but black is just up so much material. Really solid defense from Chicken. I mean, some people might say, you don't go sack sit against John Lee. That's myself. I'm quite well known as a defender. But ChickenCrossroad is also a player that you would avoid sack sitting against in Crazy House. He's a very capable defender. So here, though, Kleerkast still saying, well, I'm threatening rook at h7. What are you going to do about it? That's not so simple to answer. Like, you may even need to sacrifice your queen back here. So if you sack the queen, takes... No, so Chicken's going to hold on to the material. Knight h7, very nice. He's got 14 seconds left, and he's basically trying to close the game with accurate defense. At h6. Bishop takes. Makes sense here. Bishop takes, king here. Alright, he's going counter. Does this work? Don't you take this? Wait, I don't think knight at f3 was called for. Okay, this is a pretty huge threat though, because if black can get rid of this queen, chicken managing time like I do. He's gone under 2 seconds so many times. I think black's got the edge here. It's just the pieces are better coordinated for an attack. It's just going to clean up material. Kleerkast also low on time. Oh, guys, you got to move. Okay, still a live game here. Pawn at g2 makes sense. You get that king unstable first before recapturing here. Oh, chicken senses the edge now. I think that's critical. King takes g2 being allowed has given chicken the game here. Well defended by chicken. Okay, so chicken takes the lead, 3-1. I felt maybe Kleerkast a little bit ambitious there, but you can tell he's pushing for games where he's probably going to be a lot safer and having the initiative. I can feel that's his game plan, and it makes for interesting matches because chicken's a very good defender. Okay, he's going early e6 this time. I think he just played bishop b4 here. Bishop d2 takes. Maybe knight at f4. Okay, so he's knight at b2, neutralizing his bishop. Oh, okay, so Qatar saying bishop b4 and pawn at h3. Interesting line if you want to attack. Maybe that was before knight at b2, I'm thinking. That was Qatar's suggestion. But okay, look, Kleerkast just going for initiative really early here. And I think that's good not to be discouraged and to stick with your game plan. Because chicken could be equally as dangerous if the game turns into a slow grind, and maybe Kleerkast is aware of that too, and he just says, well, practically I want to put my opponent off balance in the opening. So how do you defend e4? You could put a knight on g3. Alright, he's playing knight g5. So if h6, maybe he's just gonna sack here. And Kleerkast might even be considering taking this and playing pawn at d5. But yeah, h6 is my first candidate move. I'm not predicting Kleerkast moves at all though. e5. I don't understand e5 just yet. Only because this pawn was good to prevent pawn at f5 here. And I thought the play was, on e4 here. It's kind of black has switched from light square attack to dark square attack, but it's helped white to balance. And knight takes e4. Gonna be taken with a queen. So what did you take here? So I didn't see knight takes e4 coming. If queen takes, bishop takes f5. If knight takes, you had bishop takes f5 this way. So here though, takes, knight at h5 looks pretty solid. With the bishop. No, I feel that's maybe helping black a little bit. There's some weaknesses here White needs to be cautious of. This king is not unsafe, and material is entirely balanced. So this is fairly equal. I mean, yeah, I think Kleerkast is getting what he wants out of the opening here. E5 has kind of worked out better for him than I thought. Though I thought just G takes F7 kind of kept, like you've kind of given black a really good aggressive piece here. So is anything on? Pawn at D2 is going for the checks. And GSVC says lately you cannot sack sit against chicken before he sack sits before you. Well, Kleerkast is certainly trying to make the first shot. So let's have a look at the captures. Wow, queen takes. So he's basically saying, yeah, you can't take this because of this. And you could go king e7, but yeah, this is more likely. But now what? Queen at g2, perhaps? You can't allow knight at g5 for free. So queen at g2 makes sense to do something aggressive. I guess queen at f1 would be the response to that. Or are there any other interesting ideas? Maybe even bishop at g2. Because another thing to note, knight at g5 could be a death sentence, but is not necessarily a death sentence. You can king e7. You got to be careful of pawn at d6 if this pawn is drawn here. Okay, he's decided he's going back for some safety. So, is there anything decisive? Queen at h5 is covered by queen at g6. Okay, queen at f5. Bishop at h5. Oh, knight at h6. Kleerkast. Wow, g6. Basically saying knight at h6 is nothing. I've got you covered. It's g7? Oh, he's gone to e7. Wow, queen sack. Chicken short on time. This is good for black. This is good for black. That's low on time and okay, Kleerkast's got to be accurate here. Bishop at f6 is the one he's looking for. Rook d8 a good move. He's just avoiding trades. Bishop at f6. Okay, coming in for the attack here. Is it enough? So chicken's basically saying, what have you got? Okay, Kleerkast is all in. Can this be defended? Okay, this knight's covering f2. Oh, you're going to be nervous here as both players. I don't know if Kleerkast had to go all in. King g2 is probably most accurate here. Queen at f3, the checks run out. Very sad for Kleerkast. No, this is... I think he had to maybe defend. The queen sack just wasn't quite enough. Yeah. So my prediction's looking way off here because Chicken has been winning the critical situations. Queen at f8 was mate in one, but yeah, it was definitely Kleerkast's game there. And that's hard because sometimes in those moments he's gone for the counter attack, and had he stuck with defense, he could have waited till Chicken's fire went out on the king side. But this, I mean, you can tell how closely the players are pushing each other, because when they get to that time scramble situation, it represents that both of them have exhausted each other's strength. So Kleerkast going to one of his pet openings. This is his favorite setup. Qatar saying Kleerkast had M12 that game. Too difficult to see though. Yeah, I would say so. So Blunderman says, why was bishop h5 not played instead of knight d2? Much earlier. Maybe chickencrossroad had bishop at h5 in that opening to pick off the knight on f3. Is that what I'm hearing? No, I've lost that position. Sorry. I'm going to stick with the current game because this is now critical. Kleerkast is again he's gone super aggressive on chicken. He's not deterred at all, and I think he's doing the right things in the openings from a practical point of view. There's just been a few critical situations where Chicken's come out on top. I think you could have easily have had a scoreline here where Kleerkast is up 3-2. If some critical positions had gone a different way. Wow, Chicken picking off g5. So do you sack the queen here? Bestie Chess spamming me with 1 bit. Thanks for the support. Okay, he's chosen to take h4 out of the equation here and basically say white's got no initiative, but I'm having to sack the queen. Having to sack the queen for a couple pieces. So pawn at g5 is going to continue covering the dark squares. Yeah, here black's not going to have an attack for some time. So Chicken is just putting more defense on g7 here, and I think we'll just see the king drop back. But white's safe. You don't want to play knight takes f6 because of capture. Well, I don't know. f6 becomes something to hit. So this knight could be jumping in on h4. Bestie Chess has a good sense of humor. Someone said, "Stop it, dude." Bestie Chess, may you please stop. Blunderman1, Janly, please be quiet. I cannot hear the bit donation sounds. I like Bestie Chess's response. He said, "I'm supporting the channel." That's pretty funny. Okay, look. Kleerkast here just has this. This pawn structure here is hard to undermine. Oh, can this be taken? I don't know. This can be taken. Wanyoni donated $10. Thank you for the support. Just so you guys know, you'll see a a goal below. We've got now it looks like 24% made of the Crazy House World Championship Fund, $2,000. This $2,000 is already personally guaranteed by myself. It's just an opportunity for the community to donate towards that, and my commitment is if we make the target of $2,000 and effectively the community has reimbursed my guarantee for this year, then I'll be able to guarantee $2,000 for the year 2021, and we get to see this continue. So that's what's behind that goal. Queen e2, okay, shifting to hit e5. So importantly, let's have a look. If queen takes was played before, bishop takes, knight at h6, king h8 was just enough to defend, and then the bishop would have been threatening queen at h2 mate. So here, chicken is defending nicely, just picking off pawn by pawn. I think this isn't hanging yet. He's just like literally holding on to every pawn. I just felt it would be more awkward for chicken, but he's just covered everything so well. This is a kind of game I like to play as black, but I wouldn't have seen it as clearly as chicken has. I think this move, knight d6, is a very nice, accurate way to progress out of a position that was looking a bit shaky. So h5, Kleerkast has to find resources. Now it is different here because the bishop's on h2, chicken's low on time. There's no queen at h2 mate that's going to come hit straight away, so it's now knight at g3 you've got to be cautious of as white. You can't play knight e4. Okay. Kleerkast really using every pawn here. This one has come in. King h8 makes sense. All these minor pieces. Bishop takes h5 coming. See, if white doesn't get the attack through in these sorts of situations, the minor pieces just hoard around the center, and then you pick off the material. Wow, okay, he's gone. I think that should be taken with the bishop. Okay, so queen at h2 is threatened here. Knight h6, alright. I mean, chicken's recovered on the clock and is doing very well on the board. Okay, there's some kind of queen at g2. Yeah, he's running out of steam here. Does queen at g1 mate? Knight f2 takes, knight at g4. Or you take here first. Oh, chicken's dancing with the clock dangerously. But he's got the win here, I think. Rook at h4. Too solid from chicken. Oh, I really feel for Kleerkast because I feel like in the opening at least his game plan is going right, and I think Katas made a statement there as well. With a bit more luck, Kleerkast would have won that game in a sense that like you were a pawn short or you were really close to your initiative going through. And it's kind of been the story of the day for Kleerkast. That's why I was more bullish on my prediction for Kleerkast to potentially win something like 6-3. But the momentum didn't get going for him, and chicken has come out on top in all of the critical positions. So 5-1 to chicken now. It's a long way back for Kleerkast here. Chicken will be very comfortable with this sort of position. Chicken's very good in a position where you've got a solid structure and you can pick off material, and this pawn is that sort of material that he just looked to take and play sensible moves. So Kleerkast again, just going for something very aggressive. Takes. And I don't know if it's looking at pawn at d3. You could play knight takes e4 here. Bishop f4. That's not a move I was expecting. So I guess the idea behind that is he wants to recapture the queen on d1. But here knight g6. You just threaten to hit the bishop that's defending the knight. I kind of feel knight takes e5 is a bluff, and as white, if you play bishop f4, you're letting black have his bluff. So, like, white should be the one winning a pawn here, not black. But Kleerkast, maybe if he's got his blinkers on, he's going to just think too aggressively and might miss knight g6, which is just a very plain sensible move. See, Jasuki says knight g6 just good for black. GSVC also saying. So as white there, I thought you either took e4 or you took e5. But yeah, I don't know. Kleerkast, I kind of sense, is he thinking bishop at g4? Is he thinking something aggressive? He's got the blinkers on that he's going to do something aggressive, but I like knight g6. Okay, bishop at f6 played, so we could capture here. I mean, this is also decent, but knight takes e4 is captured now, and this is still hanging. So queen d5, making an angle for queen takes g2. So how do you cover g2 now? Or is he just going to take this and claim he can play bishop at f3? That's something that Chicken would do. Just grab the material and say, I've got an edge. Bishop at f3 takes, rook at g1, bishop here takes. Is there any mate? Pawn at d2. You wouldn't want to take with the queen, so you take with the bishop. You took with the queen though. But then he took the rook. What? Surely you take... I think Kleerkast had a brain fart there. Yeah, and the chat's also agreeing with me, saying, whoa, what happened there? Like, now queen at d8 is mate. Or... yeah, someone's saying, I guess he expected bishop takes d2. But even then, bishop takes d2 I thought was just holding on to a pawn. I suppose takes, yeah, rook at g1, and then at least the file isn't open. But queen takes f3 was actually looking good for black there. Yeah, just not Kleerkast's day. I mean, rook takes g1 here, and that's game over. I mean, the scoreline here today is not going to reflect, you know, how much Kleerkast, you know, brought to the board in terms of wanting to contest Chicken. I think Kleerkast had some very practical ideas. my prediction, obviously way off, guys. I had more strongly backed Kleerkast, but I think it was just in the time scrambles, Chicken got the better of him. Kleerkast made a few misses. Um, yeah, but congratulations to Chicken Crossroad there. I mean, 6-1. Chicken is into the candidates. And look, Kleerkast still goes into the lower bracket and is still a very good chance of making it into the candidates. Um, one thing I will do, I've not done recently, but I should actually bring up the bracket. Let me find that. So if you want to see what the bracket is, I'm going to post a link in the chat. It's on the challenge site. So let's just see if I can. Yeah, I think that's clear enough. So basically, if you're in the top bracket and you've made it to round 5, you have played enough to make it into the candidates. So we already have the following confirmed: Jasugi 99. Yeah, arguably the best player on the circuit at the moment. Certainly the strongest player in the tournament. I think the only real contester against Jasugi these days is Katask. And, Katask has come away with some big victories against Jasugi in their 1 minute Crazy House series. I don't know, I've seen something like 18 games to 9. And you don't win against Jasugi with that sort of scoreline unless you're made of some pretty strong metals. So Katask is unfortunately not playing in the Crazy House World Championships. Did register, but withdrew before the round started. So Jasugi definitely the big favourite. GSVC, also another very strong player, an ex-candidate, in some very good form too. Has his own very good style. Both of these players not massively theoretical, but just with very strong games. Now we've got these games to be decided. So Jeremy Durham against King Switcher. Unfortunately, we had JK the Bullfrog withdraw from the tournament. There was a case where a result where Bughouse Master had a result against JK the Bullfrog where there was a win. It was reversed. And after the result was reversed, then JK actually withdrew. I think that is in some way related to JK having a poor experience with the community a few years back when he received a wild card and copped some flack for it. And in a way, I think JK's got other things going on in life, but I think also, from what he was telling me, did not want to be the recipient of, a free path to the next round, if you like. And, the experience from a few years ago just taught him he didn't want to mess around with it. So, unfortunately, that's some of the background for why I believe JK is withdrawn. But Jeremy Durham is in the spot due to take on King Switcher. So that's going to determine one spot. We've got the two Australian players here, Master Tan and Mugwort, both good friends of mine. We've definitely got an Australian in the candidates because one of these two will make it. We've just seen Chicken and Kleerkast, so Chicken has got ahead 6-1. Like I said, I thought that would be a much closer match, but it just wasn't Kleerkast's day today. And these matches can be that way. They're so closely matched that depending on what day you have, luck you have, that can happen to you. So good luck to Kleerkast in trying to make the candidates from here. Bugzilla against the finisher. I think that's going to be a really interesting match. The finisher certainly an authority on Crazy House theory, and Bugzilla has way back, 10 years ago, Bugzilla would have been considered someone with very solid openings, but Bugzilla's also a very good friend of mine. an Australian player, and I really struggle to pick this one. Actually, I think if Bugzilla can get out of the opening, he'll have good chances. But the finisher pretty much has all bases covered, and if you can take the opening edge away from Bugzilla, he actually loses a lot of what is his foundation. I mean, he likes to start on the front foot, so that's going to be a cracker of a match, I think. It's hard to pick. GM Andrew Tang, Penguin GM1 to take on Variance Only. Now, Variance Only was a candidate last year in the 1 Minute Crazy House World Championship, so was Penguin. So we're looking at ex-candidates here. Penguin, just sneaked through against Zodiac Blitzer. Actually, I've got to say, Zodiac Blitzer, I think, was up 5-3 against Penguin, and was really looking to make a big upset, and probably had the match on his racket. And so, that was. I really felt for Zodiac Blitzer the last match, but Penguin sneaked through, and we're looking forward to that one. And we've got Juanet, who took down Zek in a close match, 6-4. Both of these players are originally from Buho 21. Zek was I'd say one of the strongest players out of Buho 21, if not the strongest. If I wind the clock back something like 10 years, Juanet would have been one of the rising talents on Buho 21 back then, but he's probably just surpassed Zek. Juanet also a previous candidate, but Zek has been inactive for many years, and could be a force to be reckoned with in the lower bracket. So, yeah. Kleerkast in the chat now. Yeah, sorry, Kleerkast. I really felt for you. I thought you really brought the game to chicken. I think you had a game strategy to mix things up and really play for the initiative, and I thought that worked well. And it was, some critical situations where Chicken, got his clock very low, and he came up with the goods. So bad luck today, but really take my hat off to you for coming to the match to play hard. If in case you've missed it, I was predicting you could win 6-3, or Chicken might win 8-6 if it got drawn out, but it didn't work out that way. But I certainly was backing you for a strong result. So let's see. Now we've got a few games that are behind schedule, but not by much. I mean, we've generally only been 1 or 2 weeks behind on a few games. If that, the tournament has been going really well, and thank you to all the community members, all the players for keeping up. So Phantom Troop versus Rec, that one's coming up soon, I hope. We've got Zodiac Blitzer versus Bayo Miller, and John Stuckey versus Shah6 Wrath. These are outstanding games that are behind schedule. I think John Stuckey, actually, he messaged me. He didn't know he still had life in the tournament, because maybe he thought it was a knockout. But it's a double elimination knockout, and we've still got the opportunity to play on. So I am very reluctant to issue forfeit results at this stage of the tournament, given we're so deep into the rounds. Because I know that these are coveted positions. Like, a lot of players that have been knocked out already are really, would have relished the chance still to be playing. So it's a shame to have something like a double forfeit result. But let's see. Let's spend a little more time here. And we'll see where, someone like Kleerkast, for example, he's played game 2-2-1. Where will he end up? So Kleerkast will end up in this spot. Would play the winner of this match, Karagialis, versus either Phantom Troop or Rec. And we're looking at PKNM or Metin coming up. If you go off the ratings alone, You might be backing PKM to come in here, and then you would see Kleerkast versus PKM fight for this position here, which, if you make it to this point here, loses round 8, I think by then you are actually in to the candidates, but I'll just confirm. Yes, I think that's correct. So I should confirm here, there is still one match to be played by bracket 1, but it's not for a position in the candidates. So Jasugi would still be due to play GSVC, but there's just one extra round here to play, given that the losers bracket is so long. What the players are playing here for is a $25 prize, and that's basically being able to go 5 rounds into the first bracket without having a single loss. So you would have Jasugi versus GSVC play for $25 essentially, but that doesn't give you any advantage in the candidates round. Kleerkast says you forgot about Bugzilla, the finisher versus PKNM. But Bugzilla, the finisher, is 222. So Bugzilla. Oh, sorry. Yes. So yeah, that is important. Bugzilla or the finisher would come into 222 and play the winner of PKNM Metin. And then PKNM, the winner of this match would play Kleerkast. Sorry about that. I messed that up. It's this double elimination knockout. You've got to really look at it. So it's not easy if there's going to be a hard match to get into the candidates one way or another. There's so many strong players out there. So in all likelihood, it's one of these two that Kleerkast would face to have to get into the candidates. Sorry about that. Thanks for correcting me, Kleerkast. Who else have we got here? T-Cubes AK versus CIW. That'll be a really good match to watch. That's very closely matched. I'm really impressed with CIW this year. I think CIW has been playing the game consistently for a long time, but previously was maybe 2200 some years ago, and is definitely a solid force now up in the 2400s, but really persevering. So yeah, T-Cubes and CIW coming up. Zek and the Lone Wolf, that's going to be another good one to watch. The Lone Wolf, I would say, like CIW in this year, really has stepped up, pushing up into the next tier of players. I've played a lot against the Lone Wolf this year. We've had some good series. Always up for a good battle with the Lone Wolf. Atomek against Legion Destroyer, another good match. And these guys, like I'd say, like T-Cube, Zek, and Atomek have probably been playing in this tier for a longer period of time. But Legion is another one to join the ranks. Another player who was probably more like 2100, 2200 a few years back, and has really stuck with the game. Very, very good community contributor. Has helped with the setup of this whole bracket here. So it's actually Legion that's done the hard yards to make the initial setup, and then he's just provided me with access to help with updating the results. So really appreciate your efforts this year and also previous years with record keeping, Legion Destroyer. Little Plotkin, we've got Zodiac Blitzer who nearly won against Penguin. It's going to take on Bay or Miller, and the winner of that match will be against Art of Deception. The winner of that match plays Little Plotkin. So yeah, that's a gauntlet to run right there. Yeah, I've not really known much about Art of Deception, but I've heard good things about this player. So look forward to these matches coming up. Anjur Nakamura versus Morlock. Another really good match to watch there. Morlock has been been playing Also, I feel another player that's been coming up the ranks recently. And I've also mentioned John Stuckey here against Shah6 Wrath, and that concludes our draw. Duches has been waiting here for a little while. I think these matches were played much earlier in the event. Duches is also a fairly new name to my eyes, but John and Duches will be taking it on. So when we see more of the critical games in the top bracket get played, we'll see where the rest of this draw plays out. But I thought the tournament so far had condensed to a point where it's worthwhile going through the bracket. In round 1 or round 2, it's probably a little bit too extensive to go through the full set of 128 names. So yeah, Blunderman1's made a comment. Somehow have the impression JK have done more for the community than some people that were complaining about his wildcard back then. Yeah, I mean, yeah, JK's been there since the beginning. I think, yeah, look, this year we've just done no wildcards because, I mean, it's we've got to learn from our lessons. It's quite simple, and also, this year is really about consolidating the tournament, institutionalizing, some traditions, some rules. I think the double elimination knockout is a popular format, and it's kind of just a slow burner during the year. This is not a sprint tournament, and it's not something you have to focus on for the whole year either. It's just something you can play a match in and then leave it for a few weeks and then come back and play again. And it's a great tradition to establish. There's some great robust structure to it that, it's not like the World Championships determined by a 1-minute arena where anything could happen. Like if you end up at the champion of this event, you certainly earned your way there. Yeah, it's 6:13 here. I'm probably gonna call it a day there. I've got to start getting ready for work soon. Yeah, let's see who's next. I think there's a match tomorrow, so I'll post one more link before I go. And that's going to be Metin48 versus PKNM. Pretty much, if I go to Sydney time, just for a second, and I messed that up. I'll also make it a bit more visible for you on the screen. Sorry. So this is London time. If you have a look at the link I've just posted in the chat, you can come to this site and choose your time zone. I've done this many times before, but it's on London time right now. I live in Sydney, so you've got to select show all time zones, and then you can find out when the next match is going to occur. We've just had Chickencrossroad versus Kleerkast, so for me, it's pretty much 24 hours and 45 minutes from now we'll have Metin48 versus PKNM. Unfortunately, that time is not so good for me because I'll be getting ready for work, but hopefully one of the other streamers like OK or Kleerkast or Mugwort, someone out there, it would be great if you can cover this match. Ladido says, Justin, are you playing some Crazy House today? No, I won't play today. I've been fortunate enough to wake up on time and have no disruptions in the house, so my 1-year-old will be waking up anytime soon, and my wife has been looking after the bub overnight, so I'm going to help out with the baby as soon as he wakes up, which is any moment. Important lesson from Yasser01 always talks about domestic tranquility, and so you've got to balance your hobbies with taking care of family. So Kleerkast says I'll probably cover tomorrow, so I'll put in a pitch for Kleerkast. Go check out Kleerkast_chess on Twitch. Hopefully he'll be there covering the match between PKNM and Metin 48. Again, Kleerkast, really thought you brought the match today. I don't think the final scoreline reflected, the fight that you brought to the table. So bad luck, but good luck in the lower bracket. That's why we've got the double elimination knockout. So yeah, let's leave it there. Thank you for tuning in. I will post this to YouTube if you missed it, and I do hope to cover more of these matches, and particularly more of the candidates rounds in future. All right, we'll leave it there. Congratulations to Chicken Crossroad. We'll see you next time for another match. All right, bye for now.